So this is your first basic lesson in using R. I'm going to show you how to do some simple things like setting the working directory, pulling in data files, as well as some code to generate descriptive statistics and run linear regression, and then finally how to use R to generate LaTeX code to create publication quality tables. So first, some basic things to know about R. R is a dialect of the S language, and like Stata, R is case sensitive. So you can either enter commands one at a time at this command prompt, or you can run a series of commands from a source file, which is what I typically do. In this case, I save my code in a text file. I'm going to run a series of the code bit by bit so you can get a sense of what R is doing. So I'm just going to copy and paste this first bit of code into R, and you can see that R is ignoring this. So basically you can use the number sign to create a comment, just this, like you would do in a do file in Stata. So one of the first things that I typically like to do is clear all my objects from memory, just in case. And then you can use the setWD function to set your working directory. So this first bit of code, I'm going to show you how to load some different packages. And first, to see which packages you have currently installed, you use the library function. So the packages that are in these particular libraries, see we already have Stargazer, which is what you use to generate this LaTeX code. We also have foreign, which is an important package to read data sets in Stata, as well as SAS and SPSS. Some other different types as well. You can use this search function to see what packages are currently loaded. Some of the different packages. So to show you how to install a package from the beginning, I'm first going to delete this Stargazer package. To do that, you can use this code remove.packages. So to install, use install.packages function. Then next, in this crayon mirror, you're going to scroll down to USA and Maryland, depending on your location. You can see that it's been successfully unpacked. So each time you run a session in R, you're going to have to invoke the particular package by running this library function. So to invoke the Stargazer package, we're going to run library and then Stargazer. Next, we're going to enter the library form so we can open up our Stata data file that we're going to use in this example. So the data that we're going to use is the 2006 General Social Survey. First thing we want to do is summarize all the different variables in this data frame. So this is generated code, summarizes all the different variables that we have in the GSS 2006 dataset. So what we can do is start here and just copy and paste this particular code directly into LaTeX to create our first table. At the end, I'm going to show you what this code produces. So second, if we want to make a basic descriptive statistics table from these particular variables, we can run this bit of code. The four variables we're going to look at have to do with the environment, the number of children you have, education, and the party identification of the respondent. So again, once we enter this, you can see right here at BN, we have our code that we would copy and paste into LaTeX. So this portion of code here. Some basic data manipulation that we have to do to run our regression model. These particular variables here, education, and then party identification are all saved as factors in R. To be able to run our typical OLS regression, we're going to need to change them to numeric variables. So what we can do is we can just define this function and then change these variables that are saved in this function to numeric variables using as.numeric. So we'll copy and paste this to R. And it's going to return your data. So here we're going to run our first regression model. Just a simple bivariate regression. So this is telling it that it's a linear model. This is our data frame that we've the GSS 2006. And we have this $sign, and then this is our dependent variable, and then the tilde, then again GSS 2006, the $sign, and then our one independent variable, which is number of children. So if we want to actually call this first model to see the results in R, we can say summary, and we have model 1. So this tells us our results. So it looks a little bit different than your data output, but it's very similar. So here, this is telling us our different significant codes. There are estimates and our standard error, as well as our t-value. Next we can create a table that summarizes this, or create code rather. For our LaTeX table. So again, we would start copying here down to end table. We would just copy and paste that. Now suppose we would like to see a progression of our models. So when we go from just having a simple bivariate regression model to a multivariate model. So we're going to add education of the respondent, and then finally also we're going to control for the respondent's party identification. So we can see these different independent variables, what effect they have on their opinions about environmental responsibility of the government. So these two lines of code tell us our second and third models, what they're going to be. This particular line of code is defining this independent, and I'm going to use that to create covariate labels. So you can see in these tables above, they're just pretty basic. But you can do more advanced things with Stargazer. You can add labels for your different variables. So for our dependent variable, I'm going to change the label so that it's not just the variable name. Instead, it's going to say government responsibility environment. I can change the independent variable labels, which I've defined up here. And then also, I'm adding a title to this particular table that's going to read OLS results. So I'll run these pieces of code in R. And again, you see the different code that it's generated that you can paste into LaTeX to create your tables. These are the different tables that are generated. This first one, again, is the summary statistics of all the different variables in your data. The second is some summary statistics for just specific variables. And our third table is the regression with the number of children you have, and our dependent variable is government legislation on the environment. So our fourth table is probably our most sophisticated. So you can see we've changed our dependent variable label here to government responsibility environment. And then we've changed our X variable labels. So instead of just the variable name here, child, we have number of children. We've changed education from EUC to this label, and then we have our party identification label. So it's a little bit cleaner. That's basically how you run some very basic OLS models in R, and how you generate this LaTeX code.